Ohio State also favored by 2.5 points, kind of oddly to me, over Oregon. Rematch of the game of the year when it happened earlier in Eugene in Autzen Stadium. What a game. Dan Lanning with a masterclass. Same with Ryan Day. How do you see this one playing out, Alan?
So the reason they have the nod, I think, Ohio State, that is because of how bad they beat Tennessee this weekend. That
That's
score
fair.
doesn't reflect nothing. They were
Right.
beating them early on. I knew that game was over by the
21
second
nothing in the
quarter.
first quarter, bro.
I knew
That
that
game was
game was
over halfway
over.
through the first. Yep.
Like, we were unwrapping gifts and talking and having fun at my house,
Yeah.
and that game was going on in the background. I was like,
Yeah.
"Damn."
Right.
I was
Nico
like
wasn't going to be able to overcome
I was
that. I
like,
love
"All right,
Nico, but he's
turn
a
that
true
off."
freshman quarterback for a reason.
I was like, "Turn that off."
Yep.
Of course, my
Yep.
mom in the background, she's a diehard Georgia fan like you are. She's like, "Yeah, hell with Tennessee, go Ohio State." She back there going off, and I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can't even push back on that, Mom. But I digress. Eh, Look, I think it's going to go very similarly to how it did the first time, because these teams, it seems like, this is just almost like it's almost like Georgia and Ohio State in that one game a few years back with TJ Stroud. Remember that?
Man,
That
don't
was
I, brother?
arguably one of the best college games aside from the 2017 Rose Bowl that I
Yeah,
think
which
I've
also
ever
included
seen.
Georgia.
Yeah, those are two of the best spectacles I've ever seen besides the
Uh-huh.
2010 BCS National Championship and the
Yep.
2013 BCS National Championship. These are some of the best games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think Oregon's still going to emerge victorious in this one. I just have
Same.
faith in Dylan Gabriel. I have faith
Yeah.
in Dan Lanning. Dan
Yeah.
Lanning's got some grit. He's got his players ready.
Yeah.
He comes from elite coaching trees. Um, he's got elite talent. Um, Ryan Day, I think, they're gonna Oregon's gonna pick up on those vulnerabilities that they showcased during the Michigan game, and even in the Nebraska game early on in the season,
Yep.
or midway through the season, I should say. They're gonna pick up on those vulnerabilities. They're gonna look at those. They're gonna look at what they did great against Tennessee. They're gonna see what they can do to outperform them.
Yep.
And I see the Ducks coming out on top on this one because they've been the best team all year long.
Yeah.
Um, they've played the Boise State already. They've played the
Yep.
Ohio State already. Now they're about to play them again.
Yeah.
And they played Penn State in the Big Ten championship. They beat them. They got so many notches in their belt that ain't funny.
Uh-huh.
It, so I see them winning by one. It's gonna be close. Too close. 28-27. Duck.
28-27. Yeah. Yeah. I've got pretty close prediction there as well, man. It's going to be a great game. I think this will be the best matchup of the weekend. Obviously, a rematch of one of the best games of the year, like we
Yeah,
stated
absolutely.
when we came into the segment. And I mean, this is the 2 of the 3 best teams in college football right now,
Yeah.
honestly.
Wouldn't shock
And
me if the Buckeyes won.
yeah, not at all. I mean, this is going to be one of the better matchups of the weekend. I believe really the 3 best teams right now that are left for Ohio State, Oregon, and then my dogs, no doubt.
I
And
think
when
you're
you look
right.
at Ohio State and Oregon, they are maybe the 2 most balanced teams in the country. Oregon's top 12 in offensive and defensive points and yards. 53% of the time they're rushing the ball, 47% of the time they're passing the ball. They're second in completion percentage, of course, with one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And Dylan Gabriel, 8th in the country at yards per pass at 8.8, which is very impressive as well. Now, of course, you look on the flip side, Ohio State, they're the best defense in the country without a question. Also very balanced with the same, really the same, close to the same percentages, of rush and pass plays that, kind of that Oregon resembles as well. And Ohio State's very disciplined. They're top 10 in the country in penalties and penalty yards per game in terms of not having them drawn/thrown on them. Huge coaching matchup. I mean, Dan Lanning and Ryan Day, you couldn't ask for anything better. Again, you insert Kirby Smart,
Absolutely.
and that's probably 3 of the best coaches in college football. You would, put a guy like Steve Sarkisian in there as well. No question. I like what Dan Lanning brings to the table just a little more than Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day, yes, is a veteran. He's a seasoned guy in this league. We know what he's been able to do. But when you look at Dan Lanning won this matchup the first time, I just think he flat out outsmarted Ryan Day last time that they played. And Dan Lanning has just had a better resume and a better season overall than a guy like Ryan Day did. I mean, when you come out and lose to Michigan, are you serious?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
obviously
for
your
real.
other loss is Oregon, but it's only by
Crap
one. So
game.
no one's going to really knock you for that, for losing to what was the best team in college football, really, really all season. And then you have a great quarterback matchup too, into which I think Oregon has the advantage with Dylan Gabriel over Will Howard. But I think both of these guys are going to come out and put up numbers. I like Dylan as the better decision maker and overall just the better
Same.
elite player in this one. Caleb Downs, obviously that transfer out of Alabama over to Ohio State. I said Caleb Downs versus Will Howard and Tez Johnson. That's funny. Caleb Downs versus Dylan Gabriel and Tez Johnson is going to be huge. Is he able to read Dylan Gabriel? Of course, Ted Johnson, one of the better receivers in college and one of those main pivotal points of that Oregon offense as well. And then you've got Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Emeka Ibuka, Jeremiah Smith versus that Oregon defense, which is one of the best in the country as well. Alan, I think this game's going to come down to whoever holds the ball last and wins the turnover battle will win this football game. And when
And
you look
whoever
back
holds
at
the ball more.
that's right. And when you look back at when they played earlier in the year and Oregon won 32-31 back on October 12th,
Yep.
when you look at they held the ball actually 7 minutes less than Ohio State did. I just think they had bigger plays and bigger moments.
Right.
But Ohio
Sometimes
State
holding the ball more
also
can get to your head.
Right. And when you look at the fact that Oregon won the turnover battle in that game as well, remember with the intentional kick where it kind of doinked off the Ohio State player's leg, and Oregon recovers it. I mean, that was just a great play right there. There was reports that was intentional, and
that was some
you're
Auburn, Georgia stuff.
Yeah. Fuck you for that. And they're all
that Nick Marshall shit, dude.
You know what I mean? It's just the it's you got my mind boggled now, man. But really, whoever holds the ball last, and yeah, it really was. It was a heck of a game, and I mean, for Georgia to be able to battle back and lose the way that they did, it reminds me of the Tennessee game too, where they win us on the
Hail Mary 2016.
Yep. Alvin Kamara, Josh Dobbs. That's when I knew Kamara was him. But whoever holds the ball last in this game, whoever wins the turnover battle, I think will win. But Oregon in the last game won the turnover battle. But Ohio State, remember, had that awful drive mishap with the clock. You remember that? Will Howard couldn't get the snap off. Dan Lanning's putting 12 men on the field. It just kind of, shits the bed on the field as it happens. And that's how Ohio State ends up losing that game because Will Howard slides down to end it. So it's like, who's going to come out and win this one? But I've got a shootout, really, man. Give me a final score, 31-28. I don't see a defensive battle because whenever a team of these two pedigrees matches up, I mean, I don't expect anything different from when they met back in October. Maybe not as big of points, but, I see 31-28. You can maybe throw a 27-24. They won. Oregon won 32-31. That was the best win of the season for them. For sure. If it's not 31-28, I could see a 27-24, maybe like a 27-21. I mean, you got the matchup of the 7th and the 8th best offenses in the country in terms of points per game. Both teams are also 8th and 5th in yards per pass, so they like to air the ball out as well. So we got a lot of stuff that's really going into the picks and predictions of this one.